How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Mother SpongeBob 1000. Today is February 1st, 2022. As today, we're going to focus on Winter Storm Landon and the potential to bring extreme snowfall over multiple states throughout the Midwest, Northeast, and even as far south as Texas. And we could see an extreme ice threat as well. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar, and you see that it's quite quiet right now throughout the United States. We only have a couple of rain showers occurring right around Missouri at this time, but outside of it, it's pretty much quiet. But that's quickly about to change within the next 24 hours, because of course we're going to see this next snowstorm develop within the next 24 to 48 hours, where we're going to see a large area of cold air move further southward, and that's going to create just a very unstable environment, I'd say, right around the southern Midwest and closer to the southeast as well, where it's going to pull a lot of that Gulf of Mexico moisture further northward to where we're going to begin to see a lot of convection and a lot of snow occur throughout the Midwest and going into the Northeast later this week. So that's definitely something we're going to need to pay very close attention to right now. And the development should begin right around this area of this low pressure system, where we're going to begin to see some thunderstorm activity right around the Mississippi River Valley, and we're going to see eventually the heavy snowfall along the north side, as there's going to be plenty of cold air to support snowfall to occur within the next 24 hours. Now, let's take a look at the computer model's forecast. So at this point, I'd say for the Midwest and right around the Ohio River Valley, that region, it's pretty much certain at this point you're going to receive a major snowstorm. And I think the areas where you're going to receive the heaviest snowfall and maybe less snowfall is pretty certain at this point, as it seems like the area where you're going to receive snowfall accumulation is certain in the Midwest. It becomes more uncertain when you take a look at the Northeast, because we have two different computer models taking two slightly different tracks, which could mean the difference between 8 inches of snow in an area in the Northeast to receiving no snow at all. But let me show you how this storm is going to develop. You see that if we were to continue to move forward, we're going to see a strong northwesterly flow associated with this low pressure system, and that's going to bring a lot of that Arctic air further southward, just a ton of Arctic air further southward, to where we're going to see a very elongated storm, because since the cold air is going to be interacting with the warm air over a large area, that's going to create convection over an elongated area, to where this storm is going to be very long. So that will add on to the snowfall accumulation, because this storm will move from a southeast westerly direction, and it's going to move over the same areas. And since it's so elongated, it's going to bring just a lot of snow. So we should see the storm develop right around the 24-hour mark, right around Missouri, where we begin to see a little bit of convection. And it's going to be, and pretty much is going to be fueled by a strong southerly flow associated with this ridge that's located east of it. And it's interacting with this cooler air mass again because of this northwesterly flow, and we begin to see thunderstorm activity right along the Mississippi River Valley, and that thunderstorm activity should become more numerous. We should begin to see the snow develop as a result of this enhanced amount of convection and thunderstorm activity, and as a result, we're seeing heavier snow throughout the Midwest, like saying through Chicago, St. Louis, Missouri, and we're seeing snow through Kansas as well. And the higher elevations of Colorado should experience heavy snowfall as well. So make sure to keep that in mind. And this storm will sort of come in two rounds. We're going to have this first round develop within the very near future, within the next 24 hours. And then the second round should develop, I'd say, right around the 48-hour mark, where we see another low develop more towards Texas, and this area should be and the second low pressure system that develops should be the low pressure system that brings the most snow to Texas and the southern Midwest overall, and brings more snow to the areas further southward in general, because this first round is going to bring more snowfall further, is expected to bring more snowfall further northwards where it impacts Chicago and Detroit. However, this second low pressure system that develops should impact the areas further southward, like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas should get involved with some ice. The southern cities of along the Ohio Valley, such as Louisville, Kentucky, and Columbus, Ohio, as the second round should be the one that brings more snow further southward. So impacts in Texas and those areas further southward, the worst of it should be a little bit later. I'd say right around the 48-hour mark, as opposed to the 24 to 36-hour mark in the northern portions of the Midwest or the Ohio Valley. So that's at least something to keep in mind. And you see the snow will extend to the northeast. This first round won't bring much snow to the northeast, but this second round should be the one that brings the pretty much all the snow to the northeast, where it could be heavy at times because this low pressure system is going to be it's going to be able to hold its own when it comes to its strength. And we're going to just see a lot of cold air interact with the warm air along the eastern half of the United States, and that's going to pull that moisture northward, and we're going to see a lot of thunderstorm activity in the southeast as a result of this just high amount of instability. So you see that it's bringing heavy snow all throughout the northeast. It's in terms of the big cities, Boston, you're receiving just a little bit of snow on the backside, and so is New York City, but there's still uncertainty regarding how much snow the big cities in the northeast are to experience. So let me show you the snowfall forecast from the European model, and like I said, I'd say the forecast pretty much west of the Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Ohio border is pretty certain at this point. You should expect over a foot of snow throughout Indiana, Ohio, just south of Detroit, and extending to Illinois as well. So you need to pay very close attention to that, because over a foot of snow is very significant for you guys, and just around a foot of snow alone is for some areas is more than half of your total annual snowfall. So receiving a foot of snow by just pretty much one snowstorm is quite significant for you guys. So you need to prepare throughout Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and even areas outside of it where you could receive over 6 inches of snow in the pink area. And actually in the Texas, you do see that you're going to receive a little bit of snow from this, but I think the more significant threat for the areas that aren't necessarily receiving snowfall will be the ice, as Texas and especially around Dallas, you could receive a significant ice threat out of this storm, which I think would cause significant impacts. Of course, you guys remember that last ice storm that happened February 2021, almost a year ago today. While I'm not saying it's going to be up to that magnitude, it's still something you need to prepare for as if it is going to be that magnitude, because it's better be safe than sorry when it comes to an ice storm like that in a state that's that far south and doesn't have the infrastructure to be able to handle ice storms, let's say, as the areas further northward. So make sure to pay very close attention to that throughout Texas and areas further southward. And then you see that there's a large area of 3 to 6 inches, over a foot of snow in some areas of the Rocky Mountains. And you see that in the big cities, Boston is pretty much receiving maybe around 1 to 3. New York City isn't receiving any snow, but it's a stark contrast when you go to the GFS model, because if you were to take a look at the GFS model's forecast at this time, you see that the snow is well further southward, to the point where instead of receiving maybe only 1 inch of snow in Boston, you're receiving well over a foot, 17 inches. And if this were to happen, that would just add insult to injury right around New England, because you guys just experienced a snowstorm that brought close to 2 feet of snow in and around Boston, and well over 2 feet in some areas in Massachusetts. So to experience another snowstorm where you would receive over a foot of snow would just be a lot for New England to handle after just a devastating snowstorm that we've just experienced. And even for us southward, you see New York City is now involved with right around 3 to 6 to maybe over 6 inches of snow right around New York City. And this extends to northern New Jersey as well. And you see the snow is a lot further southward in this scenario. Now, this would make a big difference, of course, if the GFS model was correct. So that's why I said that anywhere that's west of Ohio and Pennsylvania border is more certain, but for the areas that are east of the Pennsylvania Ohio border, it definitely is more uncertain because we need to see where exactly the low pressure system moves to really determine how much snowfall you receive in the areas further southward, because there's still a pretty good amount of uncertainty regarding that forecast. What will determine the trajectory of this low pressure system is how much of a strong northerly flow we will experience with this low pressure system, because if there's a little bit more of a strong northerly flow, that means that the cold air that's further northward will interact with the warmer Gulf of Mexico air mass located further southward, and that would create a more unstable environment, which would create more wind, and as a result, it would manipulate the position of the jet stream by sort of positioning the jet stream more from a vertical direction than, let's say, a horizontal direction. And that vertical direction would steer the jet stream winds from more of a coming from a more southwesterly direction to more of a southerly direction, which would steer the storm further northward, and it will be more of a rain event for the areas where it's southward. However, the opposite could happen where the storm ends up being weaker. There's less of a northerly flow associated with this ridge, and that would mean that the jet stream is positioning itself more at a horizontal direction, which would mean that the areas where southward are more likely to receive snow. So still very high uncertainty. I'd say it'll take right around 24 hours to really determine the position of this storm. We really need to determine how much cold air there will be in the Midwest before we could say with certainty if the areas where southward and northeast will experience a major snowstorm or not. But it's at least something to be aware of in the northeast over the next couple of hours, because it definitely could be significant. But again, going back to the GFS models forecast when it comes to snowfall, you see that a lot of areas are going to receive well over a foot of snow. This includes Indianapolis. This includes a lot of Ohio. This includes Illinois, as it seems like the GFS and the European model are both in high agreement regarding the amount of snowfall you should receive just north of the Ohio River Valley. And extending further southward to Oklahoma and Texas, you could receive over 6 inches of snow, which the GFS model is forecasting a little bit more. But whether the GFS model or the European model is correct, you should at least experience a major snowstorm right around Texas and Oklahoma. So make sure to pay close attention to that. But again, it is a little bit more uncertain for the Northeast, especially for southward. I'd say anywhere north of Boston, the chances of a major snowstorm are highly likely at this point. We just need to see which position this low pressure takes to see how much snowfall you'll exactly receive in the Northeast. Now, let me show you guys the next potential snows, the warnings issued throughout the United States. You see that winter storm warnings are issued throughout many states. We have winter storm warnings issued for southern Kansas, for a lot of Missouri, extending to Illinois, Indiana, southern Michigan, and the northern portion of Ohio as well. You guys are under winter storm warning, so you need to make sure to prepare. And then just south of that, you're under winter storm watches, as currently it isn't entirely certain you'll experience winter storm, major winter storm at this point. But I do expect those be upgraded to winter storm warnings as the confidence with this forecast does arise, because I'd say it's pretty likely that we're going to see a major snowstorm in the areas where you're under winter storm watches at this time. And winter weather advisories are issued just to the north of that, as it does seem like the snow is going to be as significant, but it's still something to pay close attention to. But a lot of these winter storm watches will probably be upgraded to winter storm warnings, as you begin to get closer to the event to where the certainty is a lot higher. And I do expect it to expand further eastward once the confidence of a winter storm does rise as we head closer to the event. Now, let me show you the Futurecast radar. So you see for today, we're going to see more thunderstorm activity occur, like I said, along the Mississippi River Valley, where we're going to see thunderstorms develop right around Arkansas and Missouri, and then we'll begin to see snow Tuesday night right around Missouri, and this should expand throughout the overnight hours on Wednesday, and this is when Chicago should begin to get some snow, and then we should see the second round develop right around midday on Wednesday, where we begin now to see Texas involved in the snow, and again the Midwest is still experiencing heavy snowfall here, and we will begin to see that snow move further eastward. So make sure to keep that in mind throughout the United States, as snow is right around the corner for you guys within only the next 12 hours for some of you guys. So make sure to pay very close attention to that. Now, in terms of ice accumulation, this should be significant right around Arkansas, where you could receive over a half an inch of ice, which is just extremely dangerous. Stay off the roads, and power outages are certainly possible as a result of this much ice accumulation, because of course as the ice accumulates on the branches, that adds a lot of weight to the branches to the point where the branches cannot handle that much weight, and they'll eventually fall, and some will fall on power lines, and that's what causes power outages during an ice storm. So make sure to pay close attention to heavy amounts of ice accumulation throughout the southern Midwest and extending to the Ohio River Valley as well, where you're expected to receive over a quarter of an inch of ice, which is very significant for you guys, and it's equivalent to around 10 inches of snow when you receive around a quarter of an inch of ice. So you need to pay very close attention to that, and don't underestimate what ice could do on the roadways, because it's very, very dangerous to drive when the roads are covered with ice. Now let me show you guys my snowfall forecast. This is just combining what the European model and the GFS model have been saying, the two most reliable computer models. I'm expecting a large area of 12 to 24 inches throughout upstate New York, extending through New England, and I'm expecting 12 to 24 inches as well just south of Chicago. This involves Indianapolis, this involves St. Louis, as you guys will inevitably pretty much guaranteed will receive a major snowstorm, and then you see that you should receive 6 to 12 inches just outside of it, which is still significant. It is a little bit uncertain for northern New Jersey and areas that are southward in New England, but I think you guys will at least receive some snowfall, so make sure to prepare as if you're going to receive at least a little bit of snowfall. 3 to 6 inches just south of it, and then 1 to 3 just south of it. But don't forget that there's going to be a major ice threat as well, so make sure to pay close attention to that throughout the United States as well. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content, and I hope you guys all have a great day.